Oh, hello there. I was just updating the inscription. So, welcome to the Egyptian statue tutorial. This is going to be part 1 probably, where I show you how to build this set of 9 statues, 3 types and 3 sizes of statue. So, let's get started. Firstly, let's take a look at the statue selection we have here. Let's start over here. So, we have, as I said, 3 types and 3 sizes. The types are seated statues, standing statues, and sphinxes. Over here we have the small seated statue. Let's take a look around that. Of course, we have our Pharaoh seated on his throne. Here's the medium-sized statue. He is, of course, wearing the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt right here. Also the headdress as well, representing the, I think it's a cobra headdress. Here we have the large statue, roughly equivalent to the Colossus of Memnon or Amenhotep. Over here we have standing statues. If you would prefer to have something a little bit different, we have the small variety, the medium size, and of course the large Colossus over here, freestanding as well. Well, not quite freestanding, because in keeping with how the ancient Egyptians made their statues, they would generally attach them to something. They weren't really as delicate in their sculpting as the ancient Greeks were. They went for size rather than for accuracy, really. And of course we have the ones seated over here, but notice they all sit on platforms. And this is a rule in ancient Egyptian art. Whenever you see a character standing, just look below him and you will see him standing on something. If he's ever not standing on anything, if he's just floating in air, then that is incorrect and not authentically ancient Egyptian. Over here we have the small statues. We have a small guardian sphinx. You could put a pair of these outside the entrance to your base, or perhaps the medium-sized variety. Of course, in Minecraft, as we go from small to medium to large, we can have more detail in our statues because we have more blocks to play with. And of course, they all have flat, expressionless faces. That is done very much on purpose. I did try to make the faces look a little bit more expressionate when I was creating these models. However, well, they look silly. Some of them, especially when you add a nose, they look like villagers. Although I suppose you could modify these if you want to make some Pharaoh villagers, just add a really big nose. But they might look kind of funny. So that is why I have left them with the flat, expressionless faces. I thought it suited the style overall the best. Now, this is the point in the video when most other YouTubers will beg you to hit the like button and subscribe. However, I know you probably hate that, so let's continue on. So, now for this, as you see, we have 9 different statues, so we're going to be cramming 9 tutorials into this. Normally, I would do one of these per video, but some of them are rather small, so we're going to fit them into a series here. I think the large ones that may require a second episode. I don't think we're going to get quite that far today. But we are going to cover the small ones for sure. So all these statues, they all have the same 5 types of materials. 4 types if you count the cobblestone, because on the inside, these are all filled in the middle with cobblestone. So as we go, I'm going to be giving that to you. But if you want to build them as hollow shells, you can leave out the cobblestone. So the small sphinx here, these are the dimensions. It is 5 by 13 by 9. The last number is going to be the height. So it's going to be 5 blocks wide here by 13 blocks long back that way. And let's take a look at the materials you're going to need to construct one of these. You will need 9 blocks of diorite, 56 blocks of granite, 75 blocks of the new cobbled deep slate, 30 blocks of the new deep slate tiles, and 129 blocks of cobblestone fill for the middle of the statue, as you see right here. So for the base, you just want to make a 5 by 13 rectangle, fill it with cobble, and outline it with cobbled deep slate. Then on top of that, these are rather, they may be a little bit difficult to see, but we have the cobbled deep slate around the exterior here, but we have some cutouts in the middle here with the tiled deep slate to add just a little bit of pattern around the build like so. And for this, I usually use the red wool here as a laser pointer to help count things out as we go. However, some people say that they lose count because the red wool looks very similar. So I'm going to make an experiment trying a blue glazed terracotta. And let me know if this helps you count blocks out better than the red wool usually does. So over here we have our base that I remarked on. It is now 3 blocks tall. So as we go, I should also remark for the new people. The format of the tutorial is done in the following way. You will be building this slice by slice from the ground up like a 3D printer. So as you see here, we have 1 slice, then it goes up to 2 blocks tall, then 3, then 4, and then so on and so forth until we get to the end. So instead of placing all the blocks in real time, because that video is just too difficult to make, and it would be far too long, what I am showing you instead is a more abbreviated instruction style type of tutorial where I show you all the blocks pre-placed and you just need to pause and replicate what you see on your screen. And for those of you, if that is if even that is too difficult for you, this entire world here is available for download in the video description. All right. So with all of that set up out of the way, let us continue on. So we're at 3 blocks tall here. We have just a few more tiled deep slate blocks right there between the paws of our Sphinx. So let me show you this from the top down. Now, the good news for all these statues is they are symmetrical, by the way. So if you draw a center line down the middle of them, what you will be building on the left side right here, you mirror that on the right side over here, just like that on either side of the center line. So as you can see, if we look from the top down on this one here, and never mind the texture pack, that it's just randomizing the granite texture, you can see here that it is symmetrical on either side. If you split it down the middle on this half and that half, all of these statues are done exactly like that there. So these are fairly simple. So I'm just going to show you these from the top down. Here is a bit more of the Sphinx, the second layer of that there. And over here again, the third layer of the Sphinx. We got a little bit of the headdress here with the diorite and tiled deep slate. View around back there. And of course, you finish the body of that fairly quickly, and from here on outwards, we're just building the head. So as we see here, and here, and here. So the small Sphinx here is a very simple design. And I tend to use a lot of these because they are fairly small. For these, you could build 1 on either side of the entrance to your base as I described, or you could build a line of them facing this way and another line of those facing on the other direction to form an avenue of sphinxes leading to your base. The ancient Egyptians would often do that. Over here, let's take a look at what is going to be the small seated Pharaoh statue. The dimensions for this are 5 by 7 for the platform and 20 blocks tall. For this, you will need 69 blocks of diorite, 59 blocks of granite, 54 blocks of cobbled deep slate, 24 deep slate tiles, and 80 blocks of cobble if you want to fill in the middle in here solid. So once you build out your base, you want to start extending that up. We're using the same design that we used over here for the Sphinx for the mixing of the cobbled deep slate and the deep slate tiles. It's just a very subtle contrast here. And over here we have the completed base for the statue. 1 block there in between the feet. And over here, let's start looking from the top down. We have the block patterns to place for the throne chair, but also for the feet of the statue. So a next phase here, as you see. Next phase after that one, a bit more of the chair. We have the legs down here in front with the feet. Next phase. We have top down the chair again. And over here again, we are now building out the rest of the legs of the Pharaoh there. And here, one more level up, we're now building the body and the arms of the Pharaoh, as you see right there. One more block up here. We're building now the back of the chair and the torso. And over here, we're extending pretty much all of that straight up. Again, for that phase, moving on, we have the lower part of the headdress. Just about to build in the shoulders. Here's the completed back of the chair. And here is going to be part of the lower part of the headdress. Block here is the neck. Over here, the lower part of the face and the head. The headdress around back. Next block up here, we have more of the face. Of course, at this scale, we only have 2 blocks suitable to use for the face. So we don't even try to put detail in that. Over here, of course, we have the completed head and the headdress. Over here, we have part of the double crown that we are building with the granite. Of course, the red represents the crown of Lower Egypt, and the white represents the crown of Upper Egypt. And of course, the double crown means that the Pharaoh was the king of both Upper and Lower Egypt. A very big deal in ancient times, because often Egypt would, it had a habit of splitting apart into upper and lower sections. The lower section being in the Nile River Delta, and the lower part was in the delta, and the upper part was in the river, which was just a thin band surrounded by desert. So as you see here, here's our seated Pharaoh statue complete. I don't think that's too difficult to build. These are so small, I'm not bothering to place too many blocks on those, but that's going to change later on, I think. All right, so let's talk about the small standing Pharaoh statue. The dimensions for this one are 5 by 6 by 23. So the base is 5 by 6, going to be 23 blocks tall. For this, you will need 68 blocks of diorite, 84 blocks of granite, 75 blocks of cobbled deep slate, 23 deep slate tiles, and 73 blocks of cobblestone fill for the middle end there. So once you build your base, we're doing the same patterns here with the mix of the cobbled and tiled deep slate for that pattern along here. And then you just cap that off. You want to add a couple of blocks of tiled deep slate there. And here, this statue is slightly non-symmetrical. It's one of the few statues in here that are non-symmetrical, because one of the feet on the lower portion is extended forward as though he is walking, I believe, from freeing himself from the stone pillar and everything that, of course, the statue is attached to. And let's take a look at this from the top down. It's just a few blocks of granite, cobbled deep slate, and a block of diorite like that. Next slice up, we have the block patterns like this here. I'm going to show you this from the top down and then from the sides, so you can see the phases as we go. Next phase here. Next phase up from that. As we go, of course, both of these blocks here, these are both granite. By the way, in my texture pack, I'm experimenting with changing the mix of the textures up just a little bit on that. I do like the original granite, though. It's quite nice. I don't know why people don't like those blocks. Here is that from the top down. As you see done here. Next phase. Like so. Of course, granite and obsidian and diorite and everything. These are blocks that the ancient Egyptians themselves used. Actually, the only equivalent we don't have in Minecraft is going to be the limestone. We don't have any limestone blocks. We do have calcite now, though. And the Egyptians would often use sandstone to make their temples out of. It would be limestone for the pyramids and sandstone for the temples. And of course, for all the expensive stuff, they would use granite for that. All right, next phase as we go. We're up to about the midpoint of the statue, I think. Next phase, top down here. From the side. Next phase, top down, just a couple blocks. As I said, the small statues are not too difficult to do just from looking at them, so I'm not spending too much detailed time on these. As I said, the only difference between this one and is going to be the extending forward of this leg down here. Otherwise, the entire statue is symmetrical apart from this. And this is, as I said, what the ancient Egyptians would do with their statue. They would have one leg as though the stone statue were give the illusion of walking forward. There we go, next phase from the top down there. Next one here. I believe we're now starting to build some of the head, as you see done here. And from the back here again, a little bit more of the head. I believe the heads of these are the same designs as the ones we did over there. I just stuck them onto a pillar behind here. And as we go, if you're wondering where I got the idea for the design for this motif on the back here, we're going to see this more. It's going to be a tiled motif. This is a palace decoration that the ancient Egyptians would often use on their walls to denote, before they wrote cartouches, they would write something like that to denote pharaohs. So I had to stick that design on my statue, but if you don't know your ancient Egyptian art, you wouldn't realize that, so I wanted to point it out to you. So over here, we're building again. We finished building the pillar on the back, and we're now building the double crown. Same design as we did on the last statue. And over here again, we of course will have that done, and that will complete the medium series of Pharaoh statues. So I think we have a bit more time, so let's keep going. We will tackle the medium-sized Sphinx next. So the dimensions for this is going to be 11 by 27 by 17 blocks tall. It's rather long, but it's not all that tall. For this, you will need 59 blocks of diorite, 313 blocks of granite. A missing sign. It is here. That's weird. We can see the outline of it. And there it just broke. There we go. I think that's accurate. 213 blocks of cobbled deep slate, 186 deep slate tiles, and 1,440 blocks of cobblestone. If you want to, of course, fill in the interior. If you want to leave the base hollow, but just fill in the statue, you can save quite a bit of cobblestone doing that, probably at least half. So once you build out your base, we are doing the same little motif here we have. I'm just going to mark this out with the blue glazed terracotta. Of course, the block you need to be placing is directly beneath this blue glazed terracotta, so don't let that throw you. So as we go along, I'm just going to mark this here because the gray and the darker gray can be maybe a little bit difficult to see. But just so you can get the pattern correct, I will mark that out and show you that from the top down. And I believe the pattern of the blue glazed terracotta will allow you to count that out. It's just in blocks of 1 and 3 and 2. So you want to extend all of that up by 2 blocks, and then put another band of a cobbled deep slate around that. And at the front here, we are going to be laying down some deep slate tiles. And at the front here, we are laying down a 3 by what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 by 6 there. And then what? 1, 2, 3. 14 blocks for that there on either side for the tiled deep slate. All right, so once you have done that, you can use that as a guideline to fill in the front paws of your Sphinx here with the granite, the diorite, and the cobbled deep slate. As you see done here, you want to extend that back until you get to the end of the 6 blocks here. Add in some more granite. It's just a straight line of granite on the sides here. And then you turn where you had this here and fill that in with granite and the design like this here, and then just straight all the way to the back and leave a little cutout back here for that. Then just continue around the rear of the Sphinx and build it all again going back forward. All right, next phase, one more block up, the paws of the Sphinx again. They are pretty much the same. You were just extending them straight up based on what you did previously. We're just leaving a little cutout here at the front to represent the slope of the paws down. You know, I mean, we only have like, 2 blocks here to play with, so we did our best with that. On the sides here, we have the same design for the hind legs back here, extending all of that straight up, just like you did before. Over here, next phase, we are finished with the paws of the Sphinx. We are now building the body and the headdress on the side here with the tiled deep slate. Like that there, and you want to continue that back, and you can use the diorite in here you have made as a guide to help you get the back here correct. And of course, we just have 5 blocks there, and then 1, 2, and 3 along the back here. Show you that from the top down, and the next phase as well. So at the front, we're doing pretty much the same, except we're cutting it back 1 block and adding in diorite, as you see here. We have the flat body behind that, a little cutout of 1 block here of the granite. And I don't think there's too many blocks back here. They're pretty much just all set back 1 block from how they were previously done, so you can use that as a guide. Going up 1 more block here. I'll show you the top-down profile of that. And here at front, again, we're pretty much building this layer again, except 2 blocks farther back up here. And this block back here represents the beard for the Sphinx. We do have all of our larger Pharaoh statues from this point on are going to have the little trademark beard that were on the statues. So behind that, we're cutting in the body a little bit by 1 block, extending it back here to this point. And you just want to bend that around with 1, 3, 2, and 3. All of granite as you see there, and then just fill in the body with cobble, or leave that hollow if you prefer. Over here again, we have 1 more block for the beard. And for the headdress, we are now building the neck. So we want to extend that around like that there, and then carve the body up by 2 blocks here. And I believe this is also going to complete the body as well on the back. So from this point onwards, we will just be focusing on building the rest of the head. So here we have our head right here. 3 blocks there, like so. And the headdress behind that, just a couple of blocks of tiled deep slate. Next phase, you're extending that straight up, except you're shifting over to diorite so we can have the banded pattern for the headdress. Next phase here, we have 2 little eye holes here. Like you see, like that there. We have, of course, the tile deep slate again, and on the next phase, we go back to the diorite. Like you see done here. For this one, we have our little cobra. It's coming out of our headdress. We're doing that. Of course, we only have a couple of blocks for that. So you have to use your imagination there. We are stepping the headdress in just a little bit on all sides along the back and adding the deep slate. Next phase, we're finishing off the headdress with both tile deep slate and diorite, and cobbled deep slate on the front. These blocks are so new, I sometimes look at them and just forget what they're called. And here we have one more block on the top here to represent the finished cobra headdress on that as well. Of course, since the Sphinx is not the Pharaoh, he is not wearing a double crown. I suppose we could put one on him if we wanted to, but I've not really seen those. They usually just have this sort of headdress on them. Those may exist, but I don't recall seeing any. So I think we're going to have enough time left in this video to tackle both the medium seated and the medium standing. And I think we will have to keep the large statues for part 2, probably. I think all of those are going to take, all 3 of those are probably going to take an hour. Over here we have, of course, the medium seated statue. The dimensions for this is 11 by 14 by 39. So it's 39 blocks tall. For your foundation, you want to make 11 by 14, and here are your materials. You will need 280 blocks of diorite, 338 blocks of granite, 330 blocks of cobbled deep slate, 129 deep slate tiles, and 1,276 blocks of cobblestone. Alright, so once you have established your 11 by 14 base, we want to then go around, extend that up, and add in the motif on the side here for the decoration along the base. And I'll just mark that out quickly with the glazed blue terracotta so you can see the pattern. Then you want to extend that straight up and then wrap a band of cobbled deep slate around that. And then we want a 3 by 4 rectangle of deep slate tiles. I forgot what they were called again. On there, and then just a 1 by 3 on either side of that, and then cobblestone filled in there. So now we're going to start building the statue. Of course, we're going to start with the feet, and we're going to be building the throne chair, as you see done here, like so. Not very difficult. I'll just show you that from the top down, and we will go on to the next phase. You're pretty much extending all of that straight up. We're just cutting out a block here for the feet at the front, like you see done there. For the next one, we have details for the chair back here, some diorite around the ankles here, and then the chair is extending up as well back here. So along the front again, we are extending up the legs here and the chair, like you see done here. And I think it's all fairly easy to see, so I don't think I need to trace out all these blocks for you. I'll just show you them from the top down and from the sides. All right, next phase, top down. And from the sides, building more of the throne chair and the legs still. And next phase here, I believe this is going to be the top of the throne chair. So we're going to be putting, I think, just a little bit more diorite on top of that, and then that will be finished, and then we'll just be extending up the back of the chair. Like you see done here for that. So this here from the top down and from the sides along here. All right, next phase, I believe we're building out the granite knees of the statue here. Diorite along the sides and the back here. Up here, I think we're starting to build out the lowest portions of the arms of the statue. Right along here with this. I'll show you that from the top. And close-in views from the sides in here. And it overlaps this here just a little bit. All right, next phase, top down. I think we're now building out I think this is the waistband right here. And that's just sitting on top of everything back here. The back of the throne chair here. Next phase, we're now building up the rest of the upper arms and the torso at this level here. In the back of the chair there. Next level, I think all of that just it gets extended straight up. Just a little bit of detail on the chair on the back here, though. At the front here, a little bit of detail for the chest here. And then from the back here. All right, from the front, a bit more of the chest. Along the front here. And along the sides here for the back. All right, again, a bit more of the chest here. I think all that is just gotten extended straight up for 3 blocks, I think. And details for the motif pattern on the back here. Of course, this is an ancient Egyptian motif pattern. It's called a palace facade decoration, and I've tried to incorporate it into the statues to make them just a little bit more authentically ancient Egyptian. That phase there, I think we're just starting to build the lower portions of the headdress with the tiled deep slate there, and then diorite on top of that here. I think we finished the chest here. I think this is going to be the neck area. The shoulders back there, and the chair here. And I think we actually finished building the throne chair here that the statue is sitting on. And indeed is integrated into. Now over here we have one free-floating block for the beard, now hanging down. So from this point onwards, we're just going to be building the head. Like you see here, just a couple of blocks. So next phase, another block on top of that for the beard. Bit more for the neck and the headdress. All right, next phase, the square face. Right here, a bit more of the headdress. Alternating bands for that. A bit more of the face and headdress. Same deal again. Over here we have now the eye holes there for that. And over here we have the stern brow ridge. And we have the rest of the headdress back here. Over here, we're now only building the headdress, like you see done here with just those couple of blocks. A bit more of the headdress here. And again, we are now finished the headdress, and of course this statue is wearing, of course, the double crown. So we are building the crown of Lower Egypt with the red granite here. A bit of the cobra that is rearing out from the crown there, with just 3 blocks of cobbled deep slate. A bit more of the red crown of Lower Egypt back here. And on the next phase, we start building also now the white crown of Upper Egypt. And there we go. I believe the first pharaoh that we have a record of that wore the double crown was Narmer. Lived quite a long time ago. I believe the Greeks called him Menes. Now over here, a bit more of the crown again. It's just an assemblage of granite and diorite at this point. And a bit more of the crown here. And of course, the crown of Lower Egypt, it goes up a bit more in the back and is a bit higher than the white crown of Upper Egypt, as you see done here. All right, so once we have got all that together, your medium-sized seated pharaoh statue should look something like this and be complete. So the next one, and the last one probably for today, is going to be the medium-sized standing pharaoh statue, all the way back down there. We have quite a few phases to get through for that. And then in part 2, we have, goodness. We have quite a lot to get to on that, so I'm going to have to separate that out into a second part. All right, so back over here, let's take a look at our dimensions again for the last statue for today. So the medium standing statue is going to be 11 by 12, that's for the base, 45 blocks tall. Also means we have 45 phases to get through. And for this, you will need 317 blocks of diorite, 410 blocks of granite, 450 blocks of cobbled deep slate, 156 deep slate tiles, and 1,172 blocks of cobblestone. All right, over here, let me put blocks on top of the pattern for this one. Very simple pattern along the sides here. Like so for that, and then just double that up, stacking on top, and then a band of cobbled deep slate around that. And then we want to make this pattern here with the tiled deep slate. So you're just doing a complete run along the sides here, 3 blocks here at the back with a 1 block gap. And at the front here, because we have a foot that is extended forward, we are going to have a little cutout for that, and that's going to be, 5 blocks there. So 3 by 5, 4 blocks back here for this little area. And I believe that'll do it. All right, so from the top down, let's take a look at the first phase of the statue itself. We, of course, have the granite at the front for the feet, and the sort of a pillar at the back that the statue is attached to give it stability, so the thing won't crack apart and fall over. Which, that happened anyway, but they at least tried. So here at the front, top down, and from the sides, there's not going to be too much for me to say about this. So I'm just going to give you views as we go along. From the top and from the sides here. Very much a visual building tutorial. Mostly because these are fairly uncomplicated enough that I don't think that is necessary. And from the sides here and the back. All right, next phase, top down. And all the way around. Next phase, top down, and then we will swing around this. All right. Next phase, top down. And oblique view from the sides. All right, next phase, I think we're now up to the knees of the statue. And we're building it like this here. All right, next phase. Like you see done here. Next phase again, building, I think, now the middle part of the legs of the statue. You see done here. We'll swing around to the other side, take a good view from below here, inside of this. And then we'll go on to the next phase. So at this level, we're building the Pharaoh's underwear, pretty much. What they would wear. Very hot in ancient Egypt, as it is today, so they didn't really wear a whole lot of clothing. All right, over here, next phase, top down. I believe that from this point onwards, now that we have built the leg down here, the statue is once again symmetrical on both sides as we go. Well, next phase, top down. I think we're starting to build some of the hands with just this block right there on the sides. Like so. And next phase here, top down. From the sides. Okay, next phase here. We're building out the arms on this section here. So they hang out a little on the sides there. All right, this phase here, top down. With the diorite and the deep slate here, we are putting the, I believe they're like bracelets around the Pharaoh's arms there. All right, next phase, top down. The block patterns for that. I think we're building the waistband right here with the cobbled deep slate. Of course, we have the pillar around back, just pretty much extending straight up. And it's going to do that for quite a while yet, till we finish it. Next phase, top down. And from the front and then along the side. Okay, and next phase, top down. And from the front. Right there. Next phase. I think we're now building out some of the chest right here with the granite along the front. And of course, the pillar at the back, it's extending straight up from the bottom. Only the detail of the decorative blocks on the inside changes for that. Next phase, top down for the granite. A bit more of the chest here. And the details along the back here. Next one from the top. And from the front here, I think we're just extending everything straight up for the chest and the pillar at this and the last couple of phases. Next one, top down, we are starting to now get to the upper chest area. So we are building some of the headdress on either side with these tiled deep slate blocks there. All right, next one, top down, building a bit of the shoulders at this level here, and of course a bit of the alternating black and white headdress design that we have been using over here for all of our statues. So one of the dead giveaways that it's an ancient Egyptian statue whenever you see that kind of pattern on it. Over here we have one block for the beard for the Pharaoh at this level. So we're just about to build the head. So I'll show you that there from the top and from the sides along here. All right, next phase, top down. Another block for the beard. More blocks for the headdress and the pillar. Next phase, top down. Building a bit of the square face now, like you see done here. Then along the sides, like so. Next phase, top down. Building the face, the headdress, and the pillar. All right, another phase from the top. Faces here for the eyes. And the pillar behind that. Up another block level here, building the brow ridge and the rest of the headdress. Continuing on with the pillar still. We're going to be finishing that fairly soon. Next phase, top down. From the front here, the headdress, and along the sides here. All right, next phase, top down. From the front, a spare block out here for our cobra, for our 3-block cobra. All right, next phase, top down, very simple phase. At this phase, we have finished building the headdress. We are now starting to build, of course, the red crown of Lower Egypt right here. All right, next phase, top down. We're finishing that pillar finally. And we're doing it with diorite, cobbled deep slate, and the deep slate tiles, like you see done here. And then just simple block patterns to make the red crown there and our completed cobra right there. So in next phase, we are now just the last couple of phases. We're just going to be building the rest of the double crown. We're doing that, of course, with diorite and granite, like you see here. All right, next phase, top down of that, just a couple of blocks. Very simple. Next phase from that, right there. One more block up right here. Another one here. We finished the white crown. That level there. And then just for the last one, we just add a couple of more blocks of granite there to finish off the red crown. And once you have done that, your standing medium-sized Pharaoh statue will be complete. But that's going to be all the time we have for today. I hope you have been enjoying the tutorial for the Egyptian statues. Maybe you've learned a few things along the way. And next time for part 2, we will tackle the 3 large remaining statues with the large Sphinx, the large seated statue, and the large standing statue. But I want to thank you very much for watching, and until next time, so let it be written, and so let it be done.